away yet again, but it seems like he has settled into the pack, and there's a couple of guys charging towards him.
Well, I came outside here to take your call, Mike, because it didn't give you the full effect here of this wind that has been howling here. Really picked up just after lunchtime. You know, it's pretty consistent, 10 to 15 with gusts up to 25, and as a lot of people who watch a lot of Masters know, you know, lower as you get in between those Georgia pines and get down around Amen Corner, and it blows and it swirls, and it just amplifies the difficulty of that golf course. And I think that's what a lot of what Jordan Spieth has faced here. You did get to 8 under par there early in the round, and a 5-shot lead, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh my goodness, it's going to be a runaway, record-setting performance again. Jordan Spieth's going to be the headlines all through the weekend, and now he's fallen back to earth a little bit, but he's made two pretty good up and downs here at 11 and 12, and now he has some birdie chances coming up, 13 and 15, not so much, but still a par 5, and still could get one and get a little more separation between himself and those guys right behind him. But they're very difficult playing conditions this afternoon, right? We only have two guys in the community. What time is it? It's after 4:30. We only have two scores under par in the clubhouse, and both 71s.
Yep.
It shows you the difficulty of the golf course today.
Yeah, Rory, one of those guys, but you got the amateur shooting 3 under, part of that group with Jordan Spieth, DeChambeau, and he is 3 under par as well. So that's an interesting storyline, I guess, as we look to the moving day tomorrow. But you got two guys from one grouping in the top 2.
And he's a guy that in the golf inner circles has gotten a lot of pressure the last few months. You know, he had a great season last year as an amateur, winning the U.S. Amateur, the NCAA individual title. And he's I don't know how I want to phrase it. He's a different kind of cat. He's a guy who's very analytical. One of his nicknames is the mad scientist. You know, he's the kid who has all his clubs are the same length. So he's hitting a 9-iron. That club's length is the same as his 4-iron and his 3-wood. He's got names this week for his clubs. He doesn't call his his wedge his wedge. It's got a name to it. He's got a club length this week that's at 50 degrees. So it's 50 degrees. And Jimmy DeMeritt won the 1950 Masters, so he's calling that club DeMeritt. So he wants that club. He'll tell his caddy, "Hey, I'm going to take my DeMeritt club here." So he's that kind of guy. He's got a lot of different shots he plays. Kind of a little bit of a throwback, and he's very intriguing. Of course, the big intrigue will be how he will play on the weekend. Bobby Jones, who founded this golf club back in the early 30s, and really one of the, if you look back, and if you ever want to do a little research on the history of sports in this country and look back to Bobby Jones in the 1920s and 30s and how much of a mega superstar he was in this country. And he famously had the quote, there are two kinds of golf. There's golf and there's tournament golf. And I go a third step. I think there's 3 kinds. There's golf, there's tournament golf, and there's tournament golf after 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoons. And so we will see how DeChambeau handles this weekend and the pressure if he's still there on Sunday. I mean, an amateur having the chance to win, a major championship, and one in which, right, the greatest amateur of all time, Bobby Jones, founded. That would be quite the story, and especially if you were right in there with the two guys in front of him right now, Spieth and McIlroy.
Gil Capps is at Augusta, the managing editor of Golf Channel, and the projected cut line is +5 right now. We've got some big names below that: Bubba Watson, Adam Scott, Ricky Fowler, who I picked to win the tournament, is 10 over. Jason Duffner, 10 over. I mean, they're below Ernie Els, who had an historically poor hole, who's just 9 over. There's some big names below that cut line. It seems that it has been a very challenging couple days for some big names.
Yeah, I'll apologize for I make this analogy, but you had a couple players like Scott and Fowler who came into this event, looking like the Golden State Warriors, and now the last 2 days they look more like the Sixers. They've really been hampered by these conditions, and the pressure. There are a lot of nerves in playing the first major championship of the year, and it is different. It's a different atmosphere. You can be going right along and playing what you think is pretty good golf and come in here, and these guys do get nervous, and they do kind of feel the pressure of wanting to win a major championship and win the Masters. And I think that may have had more to do with Ricky, especially yesterday, because he didn't play in the worst of conditions. But guys like Bubba Watson, when it gets really breezy and gusty like this, it certainly doesn't favor Bubba in the way he likes to play and his attitudes. I think some of these guys, definitely the weather has affected their play. But Mike, I'll say this: the forecast is supposed to be very similar tomorrow, and supposed to even be cooler, a little better on Sunday. But there's actually there still is a frost warning in effect for Sunday morning. So cool and breezy, and we've seen bad weather before. We've seen guys come from way back. Maybe they get a little break with the weather for a couple of hours, and guys in front of them don't. Jordan Spieth's at 5 under. Anybody, really realistically, anybody within that 10-shot roll, why they have the 10-shot roll. If you're 10 back, you still have some kind of chance going into the weekend. And I think if you're back there, 8, 9, 10 back, you have to take that attitude.
Gil Capps is with us. Jordan Spieth, 5 under. Obviously he was wire to wire last year. He's looking for back-to-back. You talk about the first major of the year causing nerves. He seems unnerved by all of this, and you wonder if, you can have this kind of weather and the elements. He seems that nothing seems to bother him at all. But with Rory at his heels, it could be setting up for a great weekend. And I wonder, those two guys are at the top. Anybody you feel is poised to make a charge for the weekend, or do you think it will be a two-player, weekend here with Spieth and McIlroy, really the two guys to keep an eye on?
Right now we got 17 players within 5 shots of the lead. You go back another stroke, we have 28 within 6, and one of those is Jason Day, world number 1, sitting there +1, and maybe after 2 days he's kind of got any nerves out of his system, and maybe he can do something similar to what Johnny Miller did back in 1975 when he was 11 off the lead and came back with rounds of 65 and 66 on the weekend and almost got Jack Nicklaus in the end in that great Masters. Day would be a guy to look at, but the remarkable thing, I'll say this about Jordan Spieth, he didn't look particularly sharp here the last month or two. Looked tired, some sloppy iron shots, putts didn't seem to go in. But isn't it kind of that mark of a really great athlete, in a rare case as well, where even if they're not playing well, they tend to step up at the right moment, even when it may be kind of out of nowhere. And that's kind of what Spieth has done. All of a sudden, he's at Augusta. It's the first major of the year, and bam, he's opening with 66, and he's still leading the Masters. So I think some people are looking forward to seeing, is this kind of smoke and mirrors and adrenaline by Jordan, or will he be able to kind of hold on here in tough conditions the next 2 days?
All right, final round coverage on 97.3 ESPN starts Sunday at 2 o'clock right here. We'll see if Jordan Spieth can win back-to-back. Can Rory get the career Grand Slam? That's 1 and 2 currently. And the amateur Bryson DeChambeau, who, by the way, I think memory serves, is going to turn pro next weekend right after the Masters here. So he will be an amateur no more in about 1 week. Gil Capps with the Golf Channel. He is in Augusta with this look at the 80th Masters. Gil, enjoy the rest of the weekend. You've got a seat we all would love to have.
Thank you, Mike. You guys enjoy the weekend as well. Thank you very much.